What does the esteemed audience need to know before they go and they purchase their copy of Hilde on the Record?
I mean, I like to think you don't really need a lot of context to, because I kind of explain a lot of it, and I explain my newspaper in my early years before I did the newspaper. But I think it's a valuable thing to read because I learned a lot of lessons because I was in like the limelight so young. And I learned a lot about how the way we perceive ourselves can be changed by other people's perceptions of us if we aren't very firm in ourselves and who we are.
Gotcha. And so that's what you'd want a reader to take away, or who is the ideal reader for this story, and what would you want them to take away?
I don't have an ideal reader. I think anybody who would read it could get a little something out of it. At least that's what I like to think. And I would want a reader to take away the idea that they really could do great things. And if they just set their mind to something, as cliche as it is, they could do amazing things regardless of what other people in their life are telling them.
What do you think it is that keeps people from setting their mind to things and achieving their goals so often?
I think that's kind of personal to everyone. I mean, self-doubt's a big one. I think people, I mean, I'm not excluded from this. People are really, insecure about their ideas and about what people might think of them or what people already think of them or things they're being told by their parents or peers or teachers or whoever.
Well, the bad news is that continues indefinitely. There will always be uncertainty. I'm not convinced of this. There isn't an age you can reach where, oh, and now I understand everything. I have achieved total wisdom.
No finish line.
No reason to worry. Although I haven't achieved all the ages yet, so if that changes, I'll let you know.
Maybe it's next year. Who knows?
Yeah, could be.
Maybe your next birthday, you'll just have it all figured out.
I'll just wake up and I get it now. Ah. That's gonna be a good day. So, as far as Hilde on the Record goes, what motivated you to? Because the book's coming out now, so I'm assuming you're 13, 14 when you decided to write your memoir.
Yeah, I think I was 14, and the main reason I decided to write it was because since I was little, I've had a lot of people telling me who I am through these stories and portraying this picture of me that just wasn't really accurate to who I was. So I just wanted to kind of set the narrative straight on my life.
So this is it. This is the definitive account. Now you can move on and start planning memoir from age 15 to 20 or whenever the next one you think is.
Who knows?
And in the acknowledgments, you mentioned that your mom, Bridget, woke up every morning at 4 a.m. to help. So what's the process that she's getting up so early to help you? What's the process in writing down your memoir?
So usually when everything I write, I have my mom look at. A lot of people know my dad's a writer, but a lot of people don't know this, but my mom's actually an amazing writer. But she's definitely a harsher critic than my dad is, which is why I always go to her with things I've written for advice, even if it's a little bit unwelcomed at the time. It's always very helpful in the grand scheme of things. So I have her look at everything I write.
So how does that work? That she's going to give you harsh advice, and then afterward, she's still got to be mom, right? You can't just storm out and not talk to her for the rest of the day. Yeah. How are you able to separate that business aspect of your relationship, where she's giving you the advice you need on your writing, from your mother-daughter relationship?
I honestly don't. It's like, I wish I could be better at this, but she'll give me advice sometime and I'll just be so mad at her, even if her advice is completely right. I'm like, no, everything I do is perfect. And then I get mad at her for the rest of the day. But I'm very grateful for her, because obviously my writing this book would definitely not be as put together or coherent or something readable without her. So I'm very grateful.
So when you sit down to write this is the story you're born to write. You know this one. What do you have to go back and do research on things that happened to you to remember who you were, what you felt?
Yeah, I mean, I talked to my mom, my dad a lot, and my Mimi a lot about this because I mean, some of like the earlier years were kind of blurry to me. And there are certain things that happened that I wanted to kind of keep like objectivism about. So I'd want to get multiple points of view from how it happened. So I would talk to people in my life about it.
I thought, well, as soon as I saw this, I thought, well, how brilliant. Because if I went to write a memoir of myself at 7 or 9, it's going to be a pack of lies because I filled that in with a bunch of what I tell myself now. I could look at photos, I could give you my best guess, but that was a whole nother person.
Yeah.
Whereas, you're writing about yourself at 7, you're literally twice that age and then some at this point. But you've got closer perspective than if you waited until you were, I don't know, 25, 30, one moment more than where you're at currently. So what is that process? How do you decide what to include, what not to include, and how to present everything?
So I would write, I mean, I've started by kind of like free writing. So I'd write a lot of stuff that I wanted to be in a chapter, almost like journaling. Like I'd write it out really messy, like bad grammar and stuff. And then I would look over it a few more times, and every time I'd kind of edit it a little more. And I mean, before this, I'd also like talk to people if I was kind of blurry about an event, if I didn't really know what was like if I wasn't sure how it went, I would talk to people. But I'd go over and I'd kind of edit it more every time, and then I'd have my mom look at it, and I'd edit it more, and I'd have my mom look at it, and it was kind of a back and forth process.
Gotcha. So you and she are going back and forth, and then do you get other readers involved, or when is it ready to share with someone else?
It was just between me and my mom because my mom helped me so much. It was between me and my mom until we had the first draft, or maybe second draft. And then I showed my dad it, but I was like really careful because I did not want, I mean, I wanted to get advice and stuff, but I didn't want the story I had in my head to be really obstructed, and I didn't want to get in my head about things. So I didn't show my dad till after. My sister she's reading it now because I just gave her a copy of like the physical book. And yeah, that's pretty much the only people who read it was like my agent, editor, my dad, and my mom before it was published.
And how long does it take you to get that first draft? Were you just going back and forth with you and your mom?
Like a few months. I don't remember exactly. It was kind of slow. I mean, I'm in like school and everything, and she's a teacher, a full-time teacher. So it's it's kind of a long process, but I think like a few months. It wasn't too long.
So when you're writing, are you writing every day? Do you write at the same time?
I try to write every day. Like in general, I try to write every day, if it's just journaling or something. But I'll try to get at least like 200 words a day. That was my goal when I was writing the book, which of course doesn't always happen. I have school and I have like different obligations, but that's my goal, like 200 words a day, which is really not a lot, like for me.
I disagree. Depending on what you're writing, it can be the most workout, highest workout ever. I've had days where I weep with joy if I got to 75 words. Like, whew, that was so difficult.
I mean, quality over quantity.
No, sometimes they're all bad, but my God, I got them on the page.
That's an accomplishment.
Some days just showing up and getting something done is good enough. But of course, that's made up for by days where the words just won't stop flowing out of you. And I'm assuming you had that experience as well.
Mm-hmm.